That was awesome. Good. Well done.
I want to add some reverb at the end. It got a little explosive though. I have to change that.
How you doing?
Great. How are you?
Good.
How's the weather?
Very stormy. Schools are closed. Wind is blowing. This news is saying to watch out for storm surges. So we're keeping an eye on things.
Wait, what? So what happens there? So like, it starts getting up to your house.
Yeah, I mean the water's only been up to the house twice.
Oh, okay.
At a concerning. I mean, it's always concerning when the ocean floods and your house is getting hit by water. But in the wintertime, you've got water, but there's also chunks of snow and chunks of ice. So I think a surge in the wintertime is probably more dangerous because you're not just getting hit by water, you're getting hit by like little mini icebergs and stuff too. But
wait, so how do you know you're in the clear?
I'm not worried about it. Like we've never not been in the clear. But it's never a good feeling when you see giant waves crashing up against the rocks in front of the house.
It's kind of cool though for a minute, and then it's scary.
I mean, it's not scary, but it's kind of like, it's all right. I'll be glad when this is over.
Yeah, you get sucked right in the ocean.
Oh yeah.
No worries of power going out.
You know what? Since Fiona, which was the giant hurricane that hit us 3 or 4 years ago, they did a really good job of cleaning up the trees. So the reason power goes out is typically because a tree falls on a line. So when there's a big ice storm that puts a lot of weight on the trees and the trees fall over, they knock the lines off. And after that hurricane, they did a really good cleanup job around here. So we've got a generator too, but we haven't had to use it in 3 years. I think the longest power outage we had was about 6 days. But that was 5 or 6 years ago.
I would die.
I mean, it's just
6 days.
You know what? It's nice because like once the storm is over, it's like you don't even realize how quiet it is in your house when the fridge is off and like the heat pump is off, and it's just this beautiful silence.
Wow, you really made the best of that. I'm terrified for you.
We got to get you up to Canada.
Why? What's there? You got to come down here where there's warm.
All right, let's hear in the chat window. Should Nick Caldwell come to Canada? If we did a remote episode, is it Nick comes to Canada or Nick goes to what is it, Missouri or Alabama? No, you're not in Alabama.
No, Alabama.
What's the state?
No, I'm in like Nebraska, Iowa.
Nebraska. You're close to Iowa. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going on a vacation to Arizona. You can come down there for that.
Yeah, I could.
All right.
I want to go back on a cruise ship. Lately, I've been exploring not the big cruise lines, but there's like smaller cruise lines. People want Canada.
Yeah, this is nonsense. She wants to go to Kansas.
What? Anik wants to go to Kansas. There's nothing in Kansas.
There's nothing in Kansas.
There's tornadoes. And we get fields, right?
Yeah, we get. Yeah, there's wheat. We don't have wheat. We have corn.
Yeah, and ruby slippers, right? What's that? What's the movie?
What, the Wizard of Oz?
Wizard of Oz. That's based out of Kansas, right? All right, we should probably talk about people don't want to hear us.
Look at they love it.
Random stuff.
New York City, in the middle of New York City.
You know what, Melanie? I would come to New York just to visit you. That's enough of an excuse to go to New York. But I am so not a big city person. I would much rather go to the country or go to the mountains or go to the woods than be surrounded by skyscrapers.
You in Nova Scotia?
Close. We're in New Brunswick, but we're kind of a half an hour drive from Nova Scotia.
Yeah, I tried looking up. I always forget where you are on the map. Like, I'm pretty sure you're there. But yeah.
So here's a question. So as part of this forest playground that we're closing on Monday, one of the visions is to build kind of like a little bit of a wellness center for like yoga studio, like somewheres in the woods where people can host, spiritual and wellness events. How many people would want to come here to attend some seminars? In my mind, it's always about going to the Caribbean or going to somewheres warm. Who would want to come to Canada in summertime when it's nice weather to play and have some fun and experience some breakthroughs. To me,
What's the visa situation? I can just head up there.
what's that?
Oh, I don't
Yeah,
know.
of course.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
you can just come up.
I don't think
We'll
I'm a
s- we'll s-
felon or anything.
we'll sneak you across the border if we
Yeah,
have to.
right. That's the thing. Okay. They're all saying, yeah, they love it. I would, yes. And if 2 people show up, you do a thing for them. 3 people.
Sure,
Oh,
why
you
not?
already got
Why not?
3.
We'll throw in a little disc golf. We'll hang out on the beach, do some hiking, be in nature. Definitely for the nature lovers.
Taylor coaching would.
Do some channeling. Bring in some of my favorite local facilitators. I'm sure we'd have a blast.
Do you think with like a group like big enough that it changes? Can you like create a tornado yourself? Like create this power vortex? Is that what's
Yeah,
going on in
I
Sonoma?
mean, we've seen it on the live calls on Zoom. I find the bigger the audience, the
Hmm.
more participants that are present live, the more energy there is, the more palpable it is, the more delicious it becomes. But it's also, it's not just that. Like last night we had our first breakthrough club call, and
Okay.
it was awesome. It was one of my favorite calls in a long time. Um, and it was like you could tell the participants were just ready to shift and ready to make 2024 amazing. And like we went right where people needed to go, and um, it was magical. So like when you have strong and people with strong intention getting together, yeah, beautiful things happen.
Well, number one, the breakthrough club is amazing. What a great name. Good for you.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So okay, and then I missed the last Wednesday. So what happened on the last 2 calls then? So Wednesday, I saw the no, I saw the Wednesday. I didn't see the Thursday one.
Last week. So last week we did calls
So I saw
Tuesday,
Nick did
Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah,
Wednesday.
Wednesday was with Nick. We did the channeling. Thursday was with me. I took everybody through an attraction point audit, which is always fun. It's just the idea of reverse engineering your physical reality to figure out what you got going on. To me,
Yeah.
that's like geeking out. Like my engineering brain is like, ooh, how fun is that? And people always get so much out of it. Even people who've done it before, like Lydia, she was the first person in the hot seat. She said, "Oh, I did this a year ago, and I just did it again, and now I've got different results." And that's
Yeah.
because that's evidence that she cleared what she identified a year ago and now is in a different place. So I told people like you should do this once a month or once a year. And if you're always getting the same results from your attraction point audit, then you're not changing, your vibration's not changing, so your reality's not changing.
So you notice that about yourself. You'll get different attraction points.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
cool.
Yeah, because if the dominant negative emotion in your attraction point is, I don't know, not good enough,
Yeah.
and if you don't deal with that, if you don't transmute it, then it's going to keep coming up as the dominant theme in your reality and the dominant thing in your attraction point. So if you don't deal with it and you do the process again a year later, it's still going to come up, right?
Was there so with that one, you took hot seat people or how did that
Oh
work for
yeah,
yours? Okay. So
yeah, yeah.
they asked you questions the same as they're doing here.
And we did
Okay.
some clearing work. Yeah. So like the
Oh, okay.
breakthrough club, which is like the new Tuesday calls, that's going to be like 90% hot seats and clearing work because
Mhm.
that's what people need. The big message on the call yesterday that I had for people was that people aren't, how do I say this? We are living in a vibrational reality. We are vibrational beings, but people, even though they're intellectually aware of that, are not tending to their vibration.
Right.
So, like, if you want to have 2024 be the most kick ass year of your life, you need to tend to your vibration. In the same way that if you have a garden in the backyard
Mhm.
and you want to have the most beautiful garden in the neighborhood, you want to grow some of the biggest sweet potatoes anybody's ever seen, you want to go into your garden, you want to tend to it every day. You want to weed the weeds, you want to drop in some fertilizer, you want to water the plants, you want to send it some love. Your entire reality is dependent on the vibration you practice. And people know that, yet they still dominantly focus on how do I solve things out here versus how do I address things where they really start, which is inside of ourselves.
Yeah. So were the questions like the same? Were they mostly all the same topic, or how were they?
So Breakthrough Club, it was last night. We help people identify. I listed off like 5 or 6 frequencies that I consider kind of the more important ones,
Okay.
and I told people pick 1 or 2, and then that's the gap we're going to help you guys bridge over the next week or 2. And almost everybody had support, and that's why I sent out an email to the mailing list this morning about support. And I made this mistake until last month, was I focused on ease, assuming that if I was in the vibration of ease, then everything would be easy. But if you're pinching off the vibration of support, then the universal support that's available to you from your source self, from other people, from synchronicity is also being pinched off.
What would you say is the most effective thing you could do to practice shift your vibration? Your practice.
Yeah, it's clearing the resistance. So if you're pinching it off, it's because you're practicing the negative end of the stick, right? So if you're pinching off, if you're looking to feel good enough, if you're pinching that off, then you're going to be dominantly and not good enough, right? So the pinching off effect comes from those negative emotions or the fears or whatever the resistance is. So it's about looking at the resistance, transmuting the resistance, and then identifying where it is you want to be. So in this example, good enough, and then in your day-to-day calibrate to that feeling. So if you're looking for more support, it's clearing the aspects of yourself that feel unsupported, while in parallel in your day-to-day creating evidence of support.
Yeah. And so that's probably a big step, right? Is that focus on the positive, right? That focus on the support. Whereas, like, I think I want to dwell in that fixed.
You also have to be careful, because if you've got this energy of unsupport that you're carrying,
Okay. Yeah.
and you're like, I feel unsupported, focus on support, focus. You might feel supported, but you're also covering up the unsupport that's still there.
Right.
So achieving the vibration of support is much more difficult when you're still carrying the unsupport. So you want to go back and you want to heal the inner child aspects of yourself, or you want to work through the energies that you're carrying, and do the clearing work around unsupported. And once you eliminate the feeling of being unsupported, then tuning into support becomes very easy.
So what if you are unable to identify a negative emotion?
Yeah, and that's an understandable question. And this came up on the Breakthrough Club calls yesterday, is that when it's our own stuff, we're in it, right? You're in the energy of the problem. So going from the energy of the problem when it's your own stuff and solving it yourself and into the energy of the solution is much more difficult than having somebody else who's already in the energy of the solution work you out of it. So like for me, I would say 90% of the clearing I've done over the last 2 years has been facilitated by Nick, right? And like I can clear shit left, right, and center for virtually anybody who's in the receptive mode. But when it comes to my own stuff, could I get there? Probably. But why would I bother spending weeks trying to work through it myself when I can go say, hey, Nick, can you sit down with me in 20 minutes and just help me work through this real quick? Yeah. Right. And that's like, when we started the Breakthrough Club call yesterday, that's what I told them. I said, this is your support network to dealing with the stuff that's vibrationally keeping you stuck and holding you back. And like, how valuable is that, knowing that there's always next levels in our reality, right? And the key to those next levels is always about pinching off what we're doing to hold us back. So of course, being able to come on a call every week and work with me on these calls is, like, in my opinion, one of the best ways to like massive momentum and acceleration in 2024.
I was going on a bunch of different sites the other day. Well, it was all Reddit, but like every post, I mean, some in a law of attraction group, some in a personality group, all these different groups, everything, like every single one of them was about relationships. And I just, like, I don't know if something was going on that day.
How many people would like me to do another free webinar on relationship breakthroughs? Drop a yes in
Yeah,
the chat.
this is the question, because I think that there's something big here, because I couldn't believe how many questions were about relationships, finding a significant other, finding the right one.
It's funny because to me, relationships is one of the easiest places to have a breakthrough
Okay.
because the patterns are obvious, right? If you're always attracting a partner who's ghosting you or emotionally unavailable, you've got an abandonment parents pattern. So you probably have a parent that wasn't there for you or emotionally closed up, right? If you're always being cheated on, it's rooted in being not good enough, right? So, and I've got those. There's 5 archetypes. I've got them listed in Power Manifesting and in Single No More. And then with relationships, you got to look at split energy, right?
Mhm.
And most people, if you have a relationship trauma, if you were cheated on, right? If you observed an unhealthy dynamic between your parents, there's probably an aspect where relationships feels unsafe. So you have to work through those things, right?
So the easiest to make a breakthrough because you just work through, like, it's a more specific
I
process
think
to work through?
I think the patterns are just more obvious.
Okay.
Yeah. And it may
Okay.
be because I spent years doing mostly relationship work with clients.
Mm, okay. So not necessarily finding a partner, but making the best of the one I have.
And that goes hand in hand,
Yeah.
right? So if there's an unhealthy dynamic, if there's unhappiness, if there's something not jiving, it always comes back to what you're practicing within yourself.
Yeah. I got, okay. I attract men that I'm not attracted to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you ask the question, I feel that way because, right? See what comes up. That's going to tell you what you need to work through.
Let's go through it. Go through that. Because I think this is a great topic. I mean, I wonder what the number of women that attract men that they're not attracted to, but I bet it's high. Or
Yeah, and
anyone.
yet the other thing I find fascinating is a lot of people will settle in relationships, right? They perceive their own worth based on whether they're in a relationship or not. So a lot of women will actually allow themselves to be in relationships that are completely unhealthy with them because there's a mindset of I'm better off in a relationship, even if it's an unhealthy relationship, than being single.
So just get out right then. Do you know to like exit?
I never tell people what to do.
Okay.
But if you rectify the vibration and the root cause of why they're doing that, then the relationship itself is going to evolve to either a place where their partner is going to catch up to where they're at. So the partner is also going to shift, or it'll become too uncomfortable where a breakup will occur. And the next person that comes along will be a match to who you've now become.
Yeah, that's great. And you probably have a ton of success with all that.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, if it's one of the most like common things right now, and then it's just easily diagnosed and easily, you can notice the pattern.
Yeah. I mean, when's Valentine's Day in February?
Yeah.
So that's in a little over a month. So maybe in a couple of weeks, I'll run a free relationship webinar and we'll do a relationship breakthrough session for everybody.
The time might be now, because I just was so surprised by that number, and it was like, you wouldn't think you would, obviously you would associate around Valentine's, but maybe it's, post holiday stuff and
I
people
think
are,
I think I think for people who are unhappy in relationships or who are single, Valentine's Day is kind of like a trigger for them. So it brings
Mm.
stuff up to the surface. So it's a good stuff time to kind of look at that stuff where people are seeking more. But yeah, I don't know. We'll play with the idea.
Yeah, I just found that fascinating that there was like, it was overwhelming. Like every single question on the board was that. How about money? Staying in a job that sucks just for the money.
I think for some people that can bring relief.
Okay.
So if you're looking to manifest money, it's easier to manifest money when there's no stress and pressure to manifest money, right?
Yeah.
So I see in the coaching industry, a lot of people are like, oh, I just learned about law of attraction. I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to quit my corporate 6-figure job and I'm going to go coach people and make millions of dollars, just like all of these online people.
Mhm.
So they quit their job. They start trying to be a coach. They realize that it's, not as easy to attract clients as they thought. And now they've got zero income and now they're worried about their bills. And then when you attach coaching practice to money and that stress and pressure, then it makes it even harder to attract clients. Right. So what I always told people was stay in your day job,
Mm.
or if you don't have a job, get something that's okay to bring enough relief so that it takes the pressure off, and then you can grow your business at the same time.
So with something like that, like how often are they in discomfort? Like, okay, I've got discomfort about money, but I'm not in any mood to go run out and get a day job. So do you like, but it does come up, like, I don't know, every day, maybe not every day, but it comes up.
Yeah. I mean,
With a
it's
wishy-washy thing, and I feel like that kind of was earlier, right? That earlier question. It's like, I know I feel wrong, but I know something's wrong, but I don't know exactly what's wrong, right? That sort of
okay.
thing.
So would you say income is one of your goal? Higher income is one of your goals for 2024?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like your way of saying no goals. Like that kind of feels a whole lot better. So I'm
So let's
being
use the word.
better about that.
So let's use the word intention.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So let's play on the topic of money a little bit, because I'm sure there's lots of people who are tuned in right now in the chat window, obviously want to increase their income level in 2024. I mean, who would say no to that?
Right.
Right. So in my experience, as of lately, I've found that the vibration of support and appreciation are the two most important things.
Okay.
Now, not to say that that's the case for everyone, but based on the Breakthrough Club live call last night, and based on my experiences since December, more and more continues to show up as I continue to calibrate daily to support and appreciation.
Ignoring money, ignoring everything else, support and appreciation. That's it.
So you're not a coach. You don't do coaching work, right?
No, I'm here.
So
Study this, whatever this is.
So do you have an idea of how you would like income to come in for 2024?
Nope. How about that?
Not
Open book.
YouTube, not nothing. Okay, so if
Sure.
you're open,
Sure. I mean, sure. There's ideas, right? And then there's past ideas, like things I've done in the past that I actually have skills for, all that stuff.
yep.
But shit, I've had money come in from unexpected ways all the time. I'm not
Yeah,
going
so
to ignore those.
somebody on the Breakthrough Club last night shared that recently he was walking on the street and he saw an older lady or something, and his mind went to this thought of like, you know what, I wish I had like an older person like that who's got lots of money to give away and no family to give it to give me all their money when they
No.
croak. And then literally the very next day or that night, his wife got home from work and said, "You're never going to believe this, but I have this aunt, this like relative aunt that's like, I've never barely ever met or something like that, who just transitioned and she has no family. So she split her money between all of her nieces and nephews, and he thought it was going to be a few $100 and ended up being 40 grand.
Oh, wow.
So literally, like within like 48 hours of him having this thought on the street, all of a sudden 40 grand shows up out of nowhere in the same way he was thinking about it, right? So like I think when you're tuned into overflow, when you're tuned into universal support, like the floodgates are open. But if you're stuck in the mental capacity of I need to figure it out, it's on my shoulders, I've got to do it, the idea's got to come from me, the action has to come from me, well, that's very different than allowing universal support. And that's why this topic of support is such a big topic. It's a very unexplored topic. And I think it's a key to a lot of people letting in the abundance they've been disallowing for so long.
So, okay, let's go back to you. So do you handcuff money with it, or it just comes along with it? All good things come along if you're focused on support and appreciation.
So think about it like this. If support was on a 0 to 10 scale, okay, and you're fully calibrated to 10 out of 10 support from your source self, your source self wants to support you in every way possible in all of your desires.
Yeah.
So if you're automatically allowing all of that support in, it's got to include everything, including money.
Yeah. Okay.
But it always comes down to, what am I pinching off and how am I pinching it off? You guys following me on this in the chat window?
Yeah, I think so. I love this. I decided to no longer tolerate an unhealthy relationship. I'm enjoying being single, but I would love to have a play buddy. That sounds great.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with play buddies.
Until source dislocates your shoulder and forces you to stop massage, go to full-time coaching. Oh, because who's massage? Your massage?
Yeah, no. So I know this guy. This is Jordan.
Oh,
So the
okay.
other, so I think he explained to me he's been wavering back and forth for the last, I don't know, year around leaving, and he does. I think his focus now, his niche on coaching is weight loss, and he's great at it. He lost hundreds of pounds himself.
Mm.
So if anybody is looking to do some weight loss, drop your Instagram handle in the chat window, Jordan. If you're looking to get some assistance with weight loss, reach out to Jordan. But he's been flip-flopping. He's a massage therapist who's also trained in coaching. And for a while, he's been getting the nudge to leave the massage world to focus solely on coaching. And I guess the other night he rolled over in bed, dislocated his shoulder quite badly to the point where they had to call an ambulance. And now he can't massage for months. So now he's been pushed to doing nothing but coaching, which is what he was flip-flopping on for a while. So I would say that is a form of support.
Yeah, there was a similar one in your school of expansion too. Like another situation just like that. I love that story. I love those stories. I mean, it's scary, but it's fun. I mean, like, especially if it pushes them to like new levels. That's
That just
exciting.
direction. Absolutely.
Yeah. The universe is amazing. I'm married to someone not in my wavelength, and I wouldn't change that. So I attracted a man friend who I adore, but don't have sex with.
Perfect.
I'm trying to see the picture. What's that? Dogs in there?
Yeah.
Trying to find out how I'm pinching off.
How do you feel?
Okay.
Right? Your emotions are your number one indicator of what you're practicing that's pinching off. So if you feel unsupported, there's a story there of pinching off, right?
And so locating it through a meditation and feeling discomfort.
Well, we've got the still point meditation, which
Okay.
is in the Breakthrough Club and in School of Expansion. So I tell people use that meditation. But it's all about tuning into yourself, right? Your emotions are your guidance. They're the guidance to the stories you're telling, which are pinching off. So it's about tuning into you, slowing down enough to recognize, oh, this is the feeling that's there. What is this trying to tell me about me and the stories that I tell? And then working through that.
So with the still point meditation, I was doing it last week. Once, how often are you doing it? How often should I do it?
I mean, how often do you shower?
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So the still point meditation is designed to help you, because people aren't aware. People are so busy in their day to day that they're not present in their body. They're not grounded in their body. So they're not noticing some of the more minute emotions that are present, which are the sources of resistance. So it's like a 8 or 9 minute meditation to just slow you down, get you to tune in to feel what's there. So do you have to do it every day? No.
Okay.
Is there benefit in doing it every day? Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. And it was
So what I would,
10 minutes. So
yeah. And if somebody is new to it, what I would say is like, do it every day. And then once you notice that you do it and there's nothing there, then go to every second or every third day, or then down to once a week. So it all depends on how much baggage you're carrying.
yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, it was awesome. Okay, so I was playing around with this thing the other day, and I don't know where it fits in, but I'm inspired to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay, I did 5 push-ups. 5 push-ups because I could do 10 no problem. I could do 40 no problem. 5 push-ups, and then I did it every minute. So I set a timer. Every minute, I did this easy thing. It was so easy. And then I just kept going and I kept going and I kept going. And I got 500 push-ups in because it was however many minutes, it just kept going. 500 minutes, 100 minutes, right? It was
So
like an hour and a half. Hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, hour and a half I did this for. Never got tired once, never anything. It was like the easiest thing. And I don't know, it was just like, I'm still so sore. This was 4 days ago. Because then the next day I did it same with pull-ups. And that was a little harder, but 450 pull-ups there. I've never done 450 pull-ups.
If you keep going like this, you're gonna look like Arnold Schwarzenegger by the end of
I don't think so.
2024.
It's not that though. It's not the same growth. It's not the same muscle growth.
Yeah,
It's
I get
just
it.
strength. And so like, and I kind of wonder how that correlates too. But just this idea of like doing something so easy, like and regimented. Like I like that like timer. And so I think that with that still point meditation, I think that a lot of times I just drift into things,
Yep.
and I should like focus on the still point.
Be
And it's
present.
so easy. There's nothing to do. It's 10 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can even do it before getting out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
If you got your phone and some headphones next to you, plop it on. I mean, that's not the best time of day to do it. I would say later in the day is better. So maybe before bed is a better time.
Tell me why not in the morning.
Because when you wake up, you're kind of coming out of like being in a sleep or a deep sleep. So like what you've got going on is probably less active.
Oh.
So it's probably easier to tune into the things kind of a little bit later in the day.
Yeah, I heard this joke the other day and it kind of related to me, but like the guy was talking about coming out of sleep. He's so peaceful, and then he wakes up like he's skiing downhill 50 miles an hour, like, ah! That's how he wakes up. So to me, I think I would still point meditation if I was feeling that way.
That's definitely not me.
Oh, really? You're like, do you get baggage as the day goes on?
I don't really
Not
get
baggage, but okay.
I don't really get
You know what I'm
baggage.
saying? In the same way that
yeah,
you're saying you're fresh in the morning.
If a trigger shows up, I typically like I'm cognizant of it almost right away. So I'll sit down and I'll work through it right away. And if I have difficulty working through it, I'll go get on Nick and I'll say, hey, can you do a bit of a session with me to work through this?
Yeah.
I never let anything linger.
Trying how to understand how I'm pinching off a 6-figure check that should have come several months ago. I think we brought this up before.
Yeah. So explore what's the feeling that's present in my body. So the fact that it has not shown up yet, that makes me feel, work through that feeling, and then start telling the story of it's going to be here any day.
Yeah. Do you like start suing at any point?
I don't think that's congruent to anything.
Yeah. 6-figure check, though.
That's a very American thing.
I want that money. I want that 6 figures. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to get pissed if that thing's out in the mail.
Yeah, but if you can manifest 6 figures, there's a billion different ways 6 figures can show up. So why do it in a way that feels kind of not, I don't know, unless suing people feels aligned for you.
Right. That's the trick, right? If it does feel okay. Yeah. How do you feel about that? Can you like harness some negative energy?
I mean, you can practice negative energy if you want. But I think, my intention for money is just let it flow.
Yeah.
Let it flow in ways that feel good to me.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast where the guy was talking about how he kind of holds on to grudges a little too much, and he likes how it charges him up. It like is congruent with his way of being, which is it's fascinating because it was a person like you, calm in the whole podcast, 3-hour podcast, super calm. But then he brought that up, and I was like, oh, that's fascinating.
We'll go to the next comment there by Todd. Trying to find that light switch to see 7 figures checks come to me. But here's the thing is, if you're looking for 7 figures checks, in the same way that if you're looking for anything, you're sitting in the absence of it. And when you sit in the absence of anything, you're activating the vibration of absence. So you would manifest 7 figures more quickly by pulling all the pennies in your pocket out of your pocket and observing those pennies in your hand and being like, ooh, look at all the pennies that I have. That's going to vibrationally take you closer to 7 figures than trying to find a light switch to make the missing 7 figures show up, because then you're focused on missing.
Just appreciating on that little bit.
And observing the overflow of it, the abundance of it. Whether it's pennies or whether it's billion-dollar bills, it's still the vibration of presence.
Right. And you could ramp up your emotions like to the point of overflow, right? In that situation, then totally. Is that what you mean by overflow? Or
totally. Like in my coaching practice, I've manifested like 1 or 2 multi-6-figure months.
Sure.
And the months prior to that, I would sit in the morning as part of my practice. I tune into appreciation. And then I would just write down a number over and over again. 300,000, 300,000, 300,000, 300,000, 300K, 300K. I would just keep writing the number down, start dropping into the number, feeling the number. And sometimes, I'm sure that was part of the vibrational calibration of those experiences.
Sure. Because then you're like Definitely motivated for it, at least.
Yeah. So here's a question for Todd.
Yeah.
Todd, is it easier for you to tune into the presence of, or no, let's take that a bit differently. If you look at the last few days, have you been calibrated more to the presence of some money or the absence of that 6-figure check or the $7 million or the 7-figure?
I'm sure he's fine with 7 million. Let's go with that.
Yeah. But that's the biggest thing about money is most people are trying to rectify the absence versus focus on presence.
Yeah. Yeah. The letting go of the absence, right? Is it, but you kind of have to clear it, right? Okay. He's 50-50
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah. And it's same with coaches trying to attract coaching clients.
Yeah.
They're more focused on the absence of clients and what do I need to do to fix this absence of clients and how do I get out of this absence of clients versus being an appreciation focusing on what they do have.
Okay. So how often do you elevate your vibration like that? Are you staring at support? I mean, I guess you're looking for support constantly.
I mean,
then.
so right now support is my theme. Right.
Yes.
I'm my goal for all of 2024 is get my receptivity for support at like an 11 out of 10.
Yes.
So like throughout the day, like before this call, I asked Anik if she could just post a reminder for people in the Facebook group of Coffee and Co-Creation's about to start.
Cool.
Oh, that's a feeling of support. Right. I consciously recognize Anik is supporting me in that. Right. So it's about consciously noticing in your reality. And remember, every circumstance is neutral. Right. So somebody could be like, oh, Nick posted it here, but she didn't post it in my other 10 Facebook groups. Well, I'm not supported.
Oh.
Right. So with every circumstance, you can label it and you can define it as supported or unsupported.
Right.
But it's about consciously deciding that every circumstance I decide to focus on is a validation of how supported I am. And that calibrates you to that vibration of support.
Right. Like you said earlier, you're not worried about a storm surge. It happens. It's happened twice is all. Or you've got a backup generator, all this fun stuff. So that's it. You're just living it over.
And if a storm surge comes through and takes my house down and everything that I own, well, we start over. Big deal.
Yeah, live stream it at least.
All right. I think that my internet might not be active if our house is getting hit by the ocean, but if I can, I'll live stream.
Yeah.
Just for you.
Thanks for the support. Espresso yourself. Come on, people, with the comments.
Yeah,
everybody's though. I mean,
people are going quiet. I don't know if they're just taking in all these support vibes or what it is.
Yeah, I was getting some wild thoughts though the other day about like the now moment. So for you is like, well, okay, I'm gonna pause on this now moment.
Okay.
But I will come back to it sometime.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Read this
What if they're always the right one? They all teach you how to be better, create better relationships. Each partner gets better and better in terms of relationships as you do. Absolutely. Every relationship you're in is with the partner that's perfect for you. Not because they are or aren't what you want them to be, but because they are the perfect mirror to what it is you're putting out vibrationally and what it is you need to work through.
With it getting better and better. So I assume like just every person she meet, it's just ramping
think
up.
Think about it. So Anik and I were both married before we came together, right? Yeah. And if Anik and I had met before those marriages, her and I probably wouldn't even have worked out.
Right.
And it's because we needed those relationships to mold who we became to be the unit that we are now. So the relationship that people find themselves in is the relationship that matches who they are being.
Right.
And it's not about, if you're looking for your soulmate, it's not about going on Tinder and Bumble and all of these apps it's not about finding your soulmate. It's finding the vibration within yourself that's going to allow that person that you're seeking to find their way to you.
Right. And so like, what about continuity? So kind of going back to that now moment, you feel a little different tomorrow, and you feel a little different the day after that, to the point where it's like almost like indistinguishable. Like you can't, this is mine, you know, it's almost like a fresh day every day.
Yep.
Or even throughout the day, right? It's very fresh.
And I love how you say that, because it's like every few weeks or every month, you should feel like a different person than who you were a month ago. And if you still feel like you're the same person, then there's not a whole lot changing vibrationally for you. And that's okay. Some people aren't on the path of constant growth and constant evolution and constant vibrational changes. But if the continual remolding of your reality in better and better ways is what you're after, then feeling like a different person month after month is a good thing.
Yeah, it's almost schizophrenic. It's a lot of energy and it's a lot of change. So I don't know, like, if it's what I'm attracting or it's fun. It's fun. It's wild sometimes.
Yeah. Are you enjoying the ride?
Yeah, it's a ride. I'm enjoying it. Sure.
Good.
I'm loving this feeling of support. I have a few relationships that are so supportive of who I am, but they're long distance. I can get in a yucky spiral of feeling unsupport between visits. Okay. Visits, so.
So the fact
Dude,
that
we're so far away. You and I are so far away. You know, I mean, it's huge still, though.
Yeah, I mean, I would ask
technology.
For this comment, I would ask the question, all of these long distance relationships, how does that make me feel? Right? The fact that they're never, and I think if I remember correctly, long distance relates to like the abandonment pattern, which is like emotional unavailability, something like that. But again, it's not, everybody's a little bit different, but there might be something to explore there.
Do you think they put themselves at a distance because of that? Like, it's intentional?
Well, it's vibrationally intentional from source.
So, okay.
So if you're always attracting long distance relationships, then there's probably something that you're practicing around people not being there for you.
Okay. But not like a sheltering, or maybe a sheltering too, right? Like keeping them at a distance.
Could be an unsafety thing. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a suggestion for grounding before traveling?
I mean, do it. I think grounding before anything. I think people are not nearly as grounded as they should be or as they think they are. So yeah, do the grounding meditation in School of Expansion or in the Breakthrough Club. Learn how to drop into your heart center and hold it. Ground. We had the first call for the parasympathetic program on Monday, and activating parasympathetic is all about being in your body. When you're grounded in your body, that's what helps activate the parasympathetic. So people are living up here and out of their body and in fight or flight rather than being grounded in their body. That whole 5 weeks is all about grounding.
Yeah. So let's dive into this a little more, because I feel this, like, this is palpable. It's almost like going on stage, right? It's like this, especially as the day gets closer. I'm about to travel. I'm going to fly. I have to fly to do this. And meditate, but it keeps coming back up. And so the question, I guess, is there's probably always like some relief valve in there, right? Or there's some like point where it does feel, you are in your chest and you feel different.
Yeah, I mean, when you're in your body, it feels good.
Yeah.
Right? You're grounded, you're present, you're not in worry, you're not in anticipation, you're not in fear, right? Like the grounded state is where we should all be 90% of the time, but we probably spend 5% of the time there.
And if she bounces out, come back, just keep coming back type thing.
Well, here's the thing. So like, look at it as a muscle.
Okay.
Right? The grounding muscle is so unpracticed, it's so weak that people can't typically hold grounding for more than 4 or 5 seconds without a huge amount of focus.
Right.
I've got a slide here. Let me pull it up really quickly.
We never figured this out. Is it gonna work?
Oh yeah, we figured out screen share, didn't we? So here's one of the slides.
It has that overlay on it.
So here's what people need to understand is that the nervous system is what activates or puts you either in the sympathetic mode or the parasympathetic mode.
Okay.
Parasympathetic is rest and repair. Sympathetic is fight or flight. And that fight or flight feeling is active in most people most of the time. So when you feel stress from work, pressure from work, if you grew up in an environment where you felt unsafe, even though you've moved out, that unsafety is still being practiced subconsciously. Being on social media, playing video games, these are all things that put people in their sympathetic, in fight or flight. The nervous system is what regulates that rest and repair mode. So if you're not getting in rest and repair mode, it's hard for your body to heal. So anytime you're fighting any kind of illness, any kind of disease, any kind of broken bone, the number one thing you should be doing is activating your parasympathetic nervous system.
Okay.
Because that's literally what allows that healing state. So if I look at, so here's the slide. Let me find the share button here. Present, share screen, share screen. See, here we go. So these are the things that activate the parasympathetic.
Let me try something real quick. Okay, there it goes.
So physical touch, right? Hugs, massages, hugging a tree, laying in the sun. Everybody here can probably recognize what it feels like to hold a hug for a good 15, 20 seconds, right? Notice how you drop into your body. Okay, that's the grounded feeling. That's the parasympathetic activation. You can do it with meditation, breath work, strenuous exercise, or you can learn to drop in it. That's what I'm training the people in the parasympathetic program to do. Most people can only drop in and hold it for a few seconds. So these are the things that put you in a grounded state. These are the things that put you into rest and repair. Now let's look at the sympathetic state. These are all of the things that put people in fight or flight. Stress and pressure, right? Work deadlines, financial crunches, worry and anxiety, right? If somebody in your physical environment makes you feel unsafe, if they trigger you emotionally, it doesn't have to be physically unsafe, right? That puts you into the sympathetic. Fears, right? When you feel like you're walking on eggshells around somebody. Overactive adrenals, video games, social media, TikTok, right? Energy drinks, coffee. All of these things take people out of their body, put them in their mind. They put you in fight or flight, and it hampers your physical body's ability to do what it needs to do to stay healthy and to heal. Right? Okay, how do we stop this screen share? There we go. So like, I can't think of anything more important than learning how to live grounded and activate the parasympathetic, not only from a healing and a physical health standpoint, but also your connection to your inner being, because your connection to your inner being comes from here, comes from being in your body.
Yeah. More in my head than my heart some days. And I think that's most of it, right?
Case, that's the case for most people every day.
Yeah. So as part of that class, that nervous system class, like how often you should be in it, how often, like, or the noticing, right?
The answer to how often is as often as possible.
Right.
The purpose of that class is to teach people what it feels like and like to grow that muscle so that those people are dominantly living in parasympathetic and able to drop into parasympathetic anytime that they recognize that they're not there.
Right. So are you like, when you really get caught up in something, whatever it is, really, really caught up in it and forget all things, is that the state too? Or
give me an example. So when you say caught up, you mean like up in your head? Like,
no,
I gotta figure this out.
No, more of a fun way. Like I'm flirting with my wife, or I'm watching a movie, or I'm doing a puzzle, whatever it is, but I'm not recognizing, I'm not feeling like something's wrong in that moment.
Well, it depends. So the biggest indicator is how your body feels.
Okay.
So if you're doing a puzzle,
yeah,
and you're relaxed and you're in your body and you're just playing with the puzzle, I would say you're probably in your parasympathetic.
Yeah.
If you're doing the puzzle and you're up in your head thinking about what am I going to feed people for supper and how am I going to get my house clean and how am I going to solve my financial worries, then you're in your sympathetic, right?
Yeah. And so you would drop down.
Drop back in because you can't be here and up here worrying about stuff at the same time.
Right. Will parasympathetic work to help regulate your nervous system?
I would say a regulated nervous system is what activates the parasympathetic. So they go hand in hand.
So again, like with all that stuff, you just feeling that from like throughout the day. You're just feeling, I guess it's like you're feeling uncomfortable if you're not in that space, huh?
I think for most people, they're not even consciously aware of which of the two they're in. So like
Sure, for sure.
in the call on Monday night, and if anybody's not in that program and wants to join it, you can still join it. It's only like $200 and some dollars. You get access to all the recordings, including Monday's recording. But most people haven't even taken the time to consciously be able to recognize this is what it feels like when I'm grounded and in my parasympathetic, and this is what it feels like when I'm not. Yeah. So the first step is becoming consciously aware of what each of those states feels like. And then it's about becoming consciously aware throughout the day, which state am I in? And if I'm in the unwanted state, drop into the parasympathetic.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, people, society is unhealthy. Tons of disease, tons of obesity, all of this stuff. Everybody blames the food. And yeah, food is part of it. Lack of exercise is part of it. But I would say the fact that everybody's dominantly living in fight or flight and in their sympathetic, where the physical body and the nervous system can't activate rest and repair, man, that's got to play a big factor too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm wondering. Okay, here we go. Good morning. Glad to join live. See if there's any more questions, because otherwise I think we're tapped out. I'm ready to go meditate, I think.
Are you going to meditate?
I think so. I think I got it because I'm activated, and I think it's like, well, I could drop into my heart, but I'm feeling that. And I feel like there's an outside thing saying suppress a little. Maybe not suppress.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for you, it's like, and this is what I would recommend for everyone is identify, what's the vibrational gap that I want to bridge, right? Okay. Get clear on, a lot of people, they'll say, yeah, I meditate every day. And I'll say, okay, so what's the purpose of your meditation? And then I get a blank stare.
Sure.
Because people meditate because they're told to meditate. But like, there's a whole whack of different reasons of meditation. There's a whole whack of different intentions. So it's like when you meditate, you should have a clear and defined focus of what's my goal and my intention in this meditation. So for me right now, my intention is calibrating to more deeper appreciation and higher levels of support. So this morning I meditated for 30 minutes. I put some music on. I spent those 30 minutes dropping into appreciation, dropping into support, going back and forth between the two for 30 minutes, right?
And you can feel it, or were you just, it's a habit you've built up? You can feel it?
Oh yeah, you can feel the energy. Like when you're bridging a vibrational gap, so like if you're dominantly feeling unsupported and all of a sudden you're tuning into support, you're going to feel that energy running through you, right? So for me, I mostly feel it in my legs and in my feet. So for you with your meditation, I would pick a frequency. What's the frequency that I really want to ramp up? Is it overflow and abundance? Is it support? Is it relief? And then spend a couple of weeks in your meditation practice calibrating to that frequency.
How about right after you wake up? Meditating good right after you wake up?
Again, depends on what your objective is in your meditation, right? If your goal is to step out of resistance in your meditation, well, when you wake up, there's not a whole lot of resistance that's active right now because you're just waking up. Right. But if your goal is to ramp up your vibration for the day, then when you wake up is a perfect time to do it.
I have a question. I just couldn't meditate this morning. Like my whole body did not want to. I usually am able to stop everything. It was frustrating.
Okay, so allow yourself to be frustrated.
Yeah.
Don't be hard on yourself. right? Follow the flow of what feels good in that moment. If you're trying to make yourself meditate, if it's not in the flow, then don't.
Yeah. Right.
To me, it
Because
sounds like
you're fighting otherwise.
it's
Yeah.
effort.
Yeah. You don't want to fight against it just for the sake of a practice, right?
Totally.
Yeah. Is it a thing where like it's not like the gym, like sometimes the gym is not fun and you get through it and you feel a whole lot better at the end.
Yeah. And it's like, the thing that I do now is I check in what would highest timeline version of me do.
Yeah.
So this morning I was like, oh, I've got two options this morning. I could make some delicious pancakes covered in maple syrup. That would feel really good right now. A nice warm pancakes. It's stormy outside. It was cold. And then I was like, or I could make, my super healthy morning smoothie, which is really, really cold. It's all frozen ingredients. And like right now, Nick wanted the pancakes, but I asked myself, what is highest timeline Nick gonna choose? And it was the smoothie. And to me, making the choice that the highest timeline version of me would make felt better than the pancakes.
How could you tell? What could you feel? What was the difference in your body that you felt?
I would say like a lightness.
Okay. Yeah. Because it's hard. I like indulgence. I like those
Totally.
pancakes, And so those
Absolutely.
feel good. Those feel fun.
But when you ask yourself in that moment, is it more exciting for me to be the indulgent Nick
Yeah.
or the highest timeline Nick? For me, being the highest timeline Nick is always the more exciting option.
Yeah. I'm not sure which one's better for me. I don't know if it's not the highest timeline,
I
Nick.
mean, they're both perfectly valid explorations.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back into the reason she couldn't meditate, right? She couldn't get it out of her head. Very negative, right?
Yeah, so I would drop into that negative feeling and expand
Right.
it and explore it and transmute it. Because remember, it's guidance. It's looking to be acknowledged. It's looking to be felt and processed.
Right. Make it part of the meditation then. I mean, it has to be why she's feeling
Absolutely.
that way. Yeah.
That's where you would go to that still point meditation.
Why do I keep having weird dreams of my boyfriend cheating on me? Oh my.
I would say it's explore the emotion that triggers within you.
Okay.
Right? Dreams can be a way that our source selves try to communicate to us what it is that we need to work through.
Is it a
So
sign?
so for her, it's probably an emotion of maybe powerlessness.
Yeah.
If she keeps having dreams that she's being cheated on and it makes her feel powerless, then I would also explore whether there's other aspects in her reality that makes her feel powerless. And there's probably some powerlessness to transmute there.
Yeah. Correct it before he cheats or make it a non-issue then.
Yeah,
Thank you.
my pleasure.
Well, you got anything else?
I think that's it for today.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks to everybody who decided to show up. And for our School of Expansion students, we'll see you for our amazing call later today. Bye, everyone. Go ahead.
Bye.
What are you going to say something?
Any ring? Hi.
Peace.
Bye.
Okay. Bye, everyone. We'll see you all next week.